Hello, and welcome once again to another fun-filled, heretical episode of Inside the World of Mack's Headroom. Today I have entitled Lysol, Babies, and Bathwater. Now, that may sound like a little bit of a crazy title, but it really isn't, I don't think. And it's just a thought that I had while being stuck inside and watching the news ad nauseum. But before I go on, I want to, since it has to do with like politics and stuff like that. Excuse me. Oh, look, this matches. See, yeah, cool. I just want to lay out my just political position, I guess, and so that there's no misunderstandings that I'm trying to push anybody in a direction to like vote a certain way or even to think that what I want to talk about, namely Lysol's, babies, and bathwater, is not in support of any candidate whatsoever, okay? So I have to go on record as saying I am nonpartisan at this point. Definitely I've never been a Republican, and I'm very disappointed with the Democratic Party at this point in time. So I don't want Trump in office for sure. I really don't want Biden in office. And I'm thinking of strategies at the moment so that I don't have to compromise myself, because I really never have in an election before. If I don't want to vote for somebody, I just don't want to vote for him. But, I don't vote for him. But, what happens is that you always end up in that formula, like if you don't vote, you throw your weight to the opposition, which I've never quite understood, but nonetheless, it seems to be a reality. So I've been trying to think of creative strategies so I just don't have to vote, because I don't want to vote for Biden, and I don't want to vote for Trump. And I don't need to go into that anymore, except that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired about being stuck with candidates, neither of which I want. And I always feel leveraged by some partisan action to go a certain way. So with that in mind, I guess I just want to make it clear that I'm nonpartisan. You show me a good candidate, I'll vote for him, period. I don't give a shit. But I do also recognize that Donald Trump has got to be 86th. Oops, let's be careful about that one. I hope the algorithm doesn't know what that means. I don't mean that way, but I mean he needs to get the hell out of here, okay? That I'm real clear about, and he's in. See, so I'd rather sort of concentrate on him for the moment, but that doesn't mean that, like, I'm taking sides, because I think the what's out there as alternatives totally suck. Okay, so I hope I made my point. All right, now, however, I am a little concerned. I have to say also that this was stimulated after watching, what is her name, Deborah Birx, on one of those big shows like Face the Nation or something. Wait, God, could you imagine being her and having to face the nation? Oh, my God. Poor her. I feel so terrible for her. But I saw her say something that I thought was very important when, of course, the interviewer was bombing her with challenges around Donald Trump's outrageously ridiculous comments about Lysol and ultraviolet rays and all this crazy shit, okay? I'm glad he said that, though, because hopefully it'll get through to somebody's head that may be on the edge when they start hearing this kind of crazy stuff. But one of my concerns is how the liberal media has picked up on this obvious ridiculous thing and have like meme bombed him. Okay, now I'm not defending Donald Trump. I'm glad he made an ass of himself. Okay, let's be clear. But when you start to bomb somebody with something that is so obviously a mistake, and first of all, people get desensitized to it. And second of all, as Deborah Birx said today, she just kind of said, I wish we could just get off of that. She didn't say he was right or wrong. She was very diplomatic, but she just said, I wish we can get off of that because the more important things that we need to be talking about aren't being able to be aired on the media because we're all having fun. She didn't put it like that, but, we're all having fun making fun of the asshole that Donald Trump is and made of himself in this recommendation to use ultraviolet light and Lysol as, so it inspired me what she said, that we can't, remember I'm always very interested in looking at the function of a symptom, what the payoff is. Well, see, it is kind of interesting though, as long as we do sort of focus on the Lysol caper narrative, I'll be hipper, okay? The less we are able to address more important issues. So there's a couple of them that And let me say one other thing. It's a blast to have Donald Trump by the balls and meme bomb him, okay? But a meme is a meme. That can show up in social media and places, but when all the major networks are making this like the most audacious thing he's ever done, then I think you start to create a reaction that, especially amongst Trump supporters, that might be on the edge, but might say, oh, well, fuck this already. Stop hurting, and they'll start to defend Trump and re-support him, you see. It's much better, I think, to like just kind of dangle some of that shit out there periodically and let him hang himself with that, with those outrageous, claims or whatever. I can't even pronounce the word. I don't even want to. It's a meaningless word, except if you have lupus. But so it's a blast. It's a lot of fun. But here's where we get down to throwing babies out with the bathwater. Okay, because you see, as long as we're having fun jumping on Trump's butt, there's a couple of questions I have. One is, I've been trying to think of a catchy way to say this, but I don't really know that I can. But like, where the hell is Dr. Fauci? I mean, that is a little interesting. I don't think it's just my misperception. Okay, that guy has been the guy who's really stood up to Trump more than anybody. And, Trump has to know that, he can't fire Fauci right now. That would be political suicide, right? So what is he doing? He's shutting him up. And I guess Fauci's being diplomatic or something. I don't know. I was kind of hoping maybe he'd resign and that would stir up a crisis, But, then again, he's such an asset to this terrible system that's existing in the Trump administration that I want to see him in there. But where the fuck is he? Where the fuck is Dr. Fauci? That's a very interesting question. But as long as we're God forbid, that was a slip. As long as we're, Lysol bombing and meme bombing, Donald Trump, has anybody asked that question? Where the fuck is Fauci? Oh, that would make a great meme. Wait, where the fuck is Fauci? Where the fuck is Fauci? I like that. It rhymes. But where the fuck is he? He's the greatest asset in the world, and nobody seems to even be asking any questions because everybody's having too much fucking fun talking about Lysol. That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as I understand the expression. Google it if you want. I'm a boomer. I don't do that shit. I don't go there. Yes, I do. Also, another question. I mean, well, it's a corollary question, but another question is, why is Deborah Birx so front and center? I mean, that's a reciprocal question, right? It's like they did this kind of like switcho. Now, I feel for that lady. Boy, oh boy, I saw this one thing where Trump was like turning to her looking for support and like she looked like she wanted to vomit, poor thing. If she makes it out of this thing without having a heart attack or something, God bless her, I mean, I feel terrible for her. She's in a horrible position. But she did make a great point today where she said she wasn't going to defend Trump saying that you should use Lysol and ultraviolet. But she was saying, as long as we're focused on that, there's more important things that aren't being attended to. And I totally agree with you. Right on, Deborah. So, I just think that, so that's like the two big questions for me. And now there's a couple more questions too. For instance, like, what did the intelligence agencies know about what's going on in China? I mean, it seems like for some reason that our hyper special secret intelligence agency seems to know nothing about what's going on in China because they somehow have some connection to God or something that doesn't allow the internet to penetrate them, or that we don't have hackers that can get inside that. I find that very hard to believe. I'm sure it's going on. But you see, as long as we're focused on, Lysol, we don't have to put Trump in the position of saying, where's the intelligence community at with knowing about what's going on in China? Where's the intelligence agencies really at in terms of knowing what's going on with the guy from Korea? I kind of dig his haircut, actually. But no, he's a monster, okay? I know he's sick, and, we can leave that alone. But I think those are some very important, questions to answer. I don't want to sway this into anything negative about Biden. It seems like as soon as you do that, you're labeled as xenophobic. But I'm going to do it just a little bit, okay? And that just is that I only know of really 2 stations that are challenging Biden at this time. One would be The Rising with Crystal and Cigar, and the other one would be the Young Turks, although I think they're very burnt out at this point. But I'm very impressed with The Rising, which is part of the Hill Network, I believe. But there are some real serious things to question about Joe Biden. I don't know what difference it makes at this point. Maybe some pressure could be put on him to pick a good vice president. Please, women out there, don't take this as negative. Honest to God, because if a woman president was a good candidate, I'd be the first one to vote for her, okay? But I'm a little leery when I heard Biden say, well, I'm going to pick a woman as vice president. I mean, what kind of bait and switch is that? I'm not going to go on anymore. But I think that also, as long as we're throwing, these Lysol bombs at Trump, it seems like the media just gains more support of Biden when there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. One has to do with sexual abuse. Sorry, all of you supporters who think that's a conspiracy theory. I'm a conspiracy theorist. What can I say? The other thing has to do actually with his mental stability. I could go on and on. I don't want to. But the point is that also, as long as we're relishing in bombing Trump to death with Lysol and Clorox and ultraviolet, then at the same time, it doesn't seem to me like the media is very interested in scrutinizing the other candidate or what person he picks as a vice president. I did it. I had the idea that I think my tapes are getting a little bit too long. So I've been talking for 12 minutes and 3 seconds, and I think I'm going to stop. I think I made my point. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Get off this thing with Trump already. Let him hang himself some more ways, so that his own constituents won't have something to rebel against the supposed liberals of, they won't leave him alone, oh God. Don't give him that ammunition. It's really, we've already made that point. He made a total ass out of himself. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. All right. Thank you very much for listening. And welcome. See, I always fuck this up at the end, but that's all right. Maybe it's my trademark. Thank you once again for being with me on Inside the Heretical World of Mack's Headroom. Bye.